In Latin America, there are private cities with their own private governments, which makes their own laws and maintain their own tax system, their own courts and their own police force. But can this model be applied in South Africa? And what would it look like? What would the implications be if South Africa were to pass similar legislation to that of a country like Honduras, which has led to the creation of private city-states? How would this affect places such as Orania and Kleinfontein? And given that the right to self-determination is enshrined in our constitution and has been begging to be actually implemented through legislation for 30 plus years now, this idea might not even be that far-fetched. But before I explain it, I just want to mention that the reason why this video is still not in my studio is because I'm still in Uppington filming the documentary I told you about the expropriation, which we were already filming with our previous video. That video will be out tomorrow, and I promise you it will be one of the biggest exposés you've seen in a long time on South African politics. But in any case, back to the core story. You see, on the island of Rutan in Honduras, around 65 kilometers or 40 miles from the Honduran mainland, there is a charter city by the name of Prospera. Nicknamed the Hong Kong of the Caribbean, this small city currently has just over 2,000 residents, but its population is growing very fast. What makes this city so interesting is that despite being on Honduran territory, it functions completely autonomously with its own legal system, regulatory framework, courts, and even its own tax regime, operating independently of the ordinary Honduran government. While Prospera is still legally bound to the Honduran constitution, it can enact its own administrative procedures and labor registrations, and has its own courts and police force. Prospera is governed by a private company known as Prospera ZEDE, with the city being administered as a privately run municipality where governance is established by a charter agreement. In other words, whereas the national Honduran government elsewhere establishes how cities operate and cities must comply with national legislation, Prospera is governed independently of national legislation and according to the rules defined in its own charter, which Honduras allowed when it created the system under which the city operates back in 2013. This means that while Prospera is bound to the constitution of Honduras, it is not bound to the decisions of its parliament. Stay tuned, because in today's video I'm going to explain how this charter city came to be and why it operates as a city-state within a state, and how this can become highly relevant for discussions on self-determination in South Africa. The origins of private cities in the Central American nation of Honduras was established in May 2009. The then president, Manuel Zelaya, was removed from office by the military after attempting to hold a referendum that critics claimed would allow him to rewrite the constitution and extend his power. As the Liberal Party of Honduras lost all political power and the National Party under the leadership of Porfirio Lobo Sosa came to power, Honduras consciously tried to move away from all forms of authoritarianism and socialism and all the government corruption associated with this kind of regime. They started experimenting with a more libertarian political reform. Around the same time, the influential American economist and later Nobel Prize laureate Paul Romer proposed the concept of a charter city. Drawing inspiration from places such as Hong Kong, Romer argued that developing countries trapped in weak institutions should create new cities governed by better legal systems that would attract global investment. To put this simply, Romer's idea, based on libertarian economic and political theory, was that failing third world nations like South Africa create a new jurisdiction with strong property rights, independent laws, and investor-friendly governance, and it could rapidly generate economic growth for the country as a whole. Honduras became the first country willing to experiment with this concept of creating a first world oasis in an otherwise crumbling third world state. And so in 2013, the government of Honduras amended the constitution of the country to allow for the creation of a private charter city. These amendments explicitly allowed zones that could have their own legal systems, independent courts, regulatory autonomy, and fiscal independence. 3 private jurisdictions were consequently established in Honduras. Those were Ciudad Morazán, a small residential estate for factory workers near the industrial city of Coloma, or Cuday, a planned agricultural town that never got off the ground, and then of course by far the largest and most successful, Prospera on the island of Rutan. Of the 3, only Prospera has amounted to anything of significance, and the government of Honduras officially repealed the 2013 law for implementing these special zones in 2022. Yet, despite this, Prospera has still continued to develop itself as a private city, and it hopes to grow its population to 20,000 over the next 5 years. The settlement is already home to a luxury resort and a golf course, a scuba school, luxury condos, a Bitcoin center equipped with a cafe, and an academy to educate people on the use of Bitcoin in lieu of tangible currency. The private company that owns and runs Prospera is also actively opposing the Honduran government in court, and the lawsuit currently constitutes one of the largest investor-state arbitration cases ever to be filed against a country's government. The investors argue that when Honduras repealed the charter system in 2022 and later declared it unconstitutional, the government effectively destroyed their investment in this country. In other words, after having invited investors to build charter cities, investors relied on those laws and invested hundreds of millions of dollars, only for the government to then change the legal framework after the investment had already been made. Under international investment law, this is framed as indirect expropriation by destroying the value of an investment through government interference. This case, currently being heard at the International Center for Settlement of Investment Disputes, can have a tremendous repercussion and is something we here at the Willem Petzer Group certainly plan on following in the future. You see, for now, I want to highlight how this specific model created for the explicit purpose of developing first world enclaves in third world states like South Africa could benefit our cause here. Firstly, consider Orania. Unlike Prospera, Orania already stands on privately owned land, is collectively held by its residents, and in part structured through a share block ownership and in part through a corporation, and then finally through a property owners association. This means the fundamental legal basis for a privately administered town already exists, if a charter-style legal framework similar to this model were recognized in South African law as legislation flowing from Article 235 of the Constitution. Then Orania could formalize what it already practices in part: local governance through private institutions, independent administration, and even tax regulation designed specifically for its community. Such a framework could strengthen local property rights and attract investment from all over the globe, and is specifically suited for South Africa with its ethnocultural objectives in Orania. And all the while, it will still remain within the constitutional framework of the already written Constitution of South Africa. A charter city-style legal recognition would also allow an Afrikaner settlement like Kleinfontein to administer its own municipal-type services, and all of its regulatory standards and bylaws. In effect, it would provide a legally structured mechanism through which a cultural community could manage its own development, planning, and economic life. Finally, the model could even have constructive applications in larger urban areas such as Pretoria East, where Afrikaners still constitute the vast majority in a large number of neighborhoods. The charter city model could offer a major economic center such as Pretoria the potential to institutional and cultural autonomy within the existing framework of our Constitution with regards to Article 235. While the details of such legislation would have to be worked out, it could certainly be an important step towards achieving the goal of self-determination. What is interesting is that the Honduran model was specifically designed to allow for peaceful territorial expansion, and despite the legal challenges they face right now, the private city of Prospera continues to expand even today. This would be an absolutely essential step for us as the Afrikaner people in South Africa to work towards our ultimate goal, a free Christian republic where we as a people exercise full self-rule and sovereignty. In a recent video, we highlighted why we believed in full self-determination as the only solution to the challenges currently being faced by most of the people in South Africa. Check out that full report by clicking on this link appearing on your screen right now. And do consider supporting our work by becoming a paid member of the Willem Petzer Group. Only with your investment in our group are we able to make videos such as these every single day. Just follow the simple steps on the banner beneath me. Goodbye and God bless.